All right, good enough. It's all good. Muksa objects. Hey, Danny.
Hi, Rabbi.
Oh, sing for Danny Fishman.
Okay, Rabbi, if you swipe your finger to the left, you're going to see 4 participants.
No, I'm good. I'm just saying that
Okay.
Danny wanted to get in. I needed to admit him, Danny. Hassan. I needed to make it open that no one has to be admitted.
Oh, okay.
Right. When I clicked the link, I had to be admitted.
Yes.
Exactly.
Sorry. My bad.
No. All right. Oh, today's a packed, mamish packed. Oh. That's Yossi.
Yes.
All right. With the help of Hashem, we are learning Shabbos Daf Kuf Chav Ches. We're going to be learning more about the muksa objects that we had in the Mishnah Daf Kuf Chav Vav Amid Beis, as we started at the end of yesterday's shiur. Again, the Perek begins with the heter, that even though Tirche Yiseiras Asar on Shabbos, but we have a dispensation, L'tzoyrech Mitzvah. The 2 examples the Mishnah gave was to receive orchim, and you need more space, so you have to move out or clear out, be mafana a place, or mipnei bittul Talmud Torah, that you are allowed to clear out a place. And then the Mishnah wanted to make a point that even though Chazal mitzvah allows us to engage in tircha yisera, but muksa we may not move. And then the Mishnah gave many examples of articles that are not muksa, that are muksa, and as we are in the middle of that sugya, it appears when you read the Mishnah that what the Mishnah considers not muksa is pshita, what the Mishnah does consider muksa is also pshita, so we're going to have to close that part of the Mishnah. We're going to relearn the concept of Kol Yisrael B'nei Malachim Heim and the halachic applications of it. We're going to have another great nafkamina in the machlekes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yehuda, the Islay Muksa. Rabbi Shimon, the Leislay Muksa. How that applies to raw, unsalted meat, as we'll explain, it's going to be mamish beautiful. We're going to have a very unique concept that Rav, when it comes to this machlekes of Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Yehuda, the Islay Muksa, the Leislay Muksa, Bechlal Paskins like Rabbi Shimon. Whatever Rabbi Shimon does not consider muksa, Rav will say you are allowed to move it. Nevertheless, when it comes to eating, Rav is going to hold like Rabbi Yehuda. And again, like we mentioned, that the issur of muksa is for eating, drinking, and being metaltal. So it's amazing that Rav differentiates whether he paskins like Rabbi Shimon or whether he paskins like Rabbi Yehuda. Whether we're discussing moving, by tiltul, he's lenient like Rabbi Shimon. By eating, he's machmer like Rabbi Yehuda. Dashbag is of the opinion that anything that's forbidden to keep in existence, not Shabbos related. The example we'll give is Mayim Megulin, automatically becomes muksa. Now we're going to begin learning on Daf Kuf Chav Ches Amud Beis various Mishnayos. Firstly, this whole concept of muksa is relaxed when even an animal is in distress. And as we'll learn over here, the concept of Tzar Balachayim, and our sugi is going to follow that Tzar Balachayim is an Isur de Oiraisa. So an Isur de Oiraisa trumps an Isur de Rabbanan, as we'll give examples. We're going to begin the sugya of being miyaled, starting with behema. How active can you be to be miyaled, to help an animal give birth? So there is actively delivering, that's called miyaldin. And the Mishnah paskins that even on Yontiv, a miyaldin asa behema, but misadin, which is going to be to assist an animal give birth, on Yontiv it will be permitted. We'll explain what does active childbirth mean, what does helping mean, what the issues are. It's issues of muksa. Sometimes there are other issues. And when it comes to a human being giving birth, so the peace of mind of a yoledis is so critical that we viewed as pikuach nefesh. So not only is a woman in a state of safek pikuach nefesh, for which not only are we misa'ed, but we're mayaled. Not only that, other people can be of assistance, even not doctors. Someone can go schlep something for a woman who's giving birth, violating Yisurei D'Oraisa. And even if it's something that you can argue is not directly connected to her health, we're going to have an example. A blind woman can have someone else light a candle for her, even though she can't appreciate the light anyway. She'll have the peace of mind that others in the room can see vastutzach, and if she'll need help, they'll know right away what she needs. However, we're going to conclude with the following rule, that whenever Chazal allow us, like for Pikuach Nefesh, to be Mechal al Shabbos, if you need to, it's only if you need to. Whatever you can do in a way where at least you're not violating the D'Oraisa, only the Rabbanan. Avada, if you can go down even from a Rabbanan, if you could, then try to be Meshana, not to make the greater violation. But if you can't, again, we're going to learn about how this heter of Pikuach Nefesh is very broadly used when it comes to a woman giving birth. We're going to start, my friends, on DAF Kuf Koyach, Kuf Chav Ches, all the way on top of the Amid. All right, says the Gemara. The Gemara is referring back to the Mishnah. That what is it that you may not be mefana, even l'tzoyrech mitzvah? Avaloi esa tevel. Now, tevel is something that no one, not only can you not eat it, you cannot derive benefit from it. So the Gemara says, pshita. Anything that you can't use, that's the pshat muksa. You can't, and you're not allowed to tithe. We mentioned this. You're not allowed to separate trumas or maasros on Shabbos because it's like misaking. So of course it's muksa. Answers the Gemara like sricha, that the Mishnah is referring even to tevel, but tevel tovel midrabanan. In tevel that requires tithing midrabanan lemashal. For example, shezeroi ba'atzin she'enu nakuf, that if you plant produce in a non-perforated pot, I don't remember the distance. We have to go through that. But if it's near the ground, it derives nourishment through the holes, through the ground, and whatever grows in there, if it's an Eretz Yisrael, is something that has to be tied midoraisa. But if you have a non-perforated pot, midoraisa, since it's not getting nourishment from the ground, you don't have to tithe it at all. You only have to tithe it midrabanan. So you would think that since midoraisa, it's not tevel, at least it shouldn't be muktzah. Or you can word it this way: you would think it's like a double derabbanan. Why? Because you only can't eat it without tithing it, because midrabbanan. Muktzah to begin with is midrabbanan. Maybe you don't pile up 2 derabbanan. So the Gemara says no. So that's the chiddush of the Mishnah, that we don't say that, because the definition of muktzah is, even according to Rab Shimon, when you set something out of your mind of I won't be happy, you knew you're not having it, you were maktzia it. I don't care the reason. Even if the reason you did it was because midrabbanan, it's mamash tevel, so what? The bottom line is it's not muchan, and therefore it's muktzah. Okay, next. The next case of the Mishnah was, and not ma'aser rishon, right, whose truma was not taken. And the havamina is that what truma that was not taken are we referring to? That the Levi didn't separate ma'aser min ha'ma'aser, bona fide tevel, because there's truma in it. So again, pshita says the Gemara, no, the case is he separated. The Levi separated the ma'aser min ha'ma'aser. What did not happen? This goes back to what we learned at the end of yesterday's shiur. Loi tzricha shekdimay bakri. Here, the person who grew the produce did already put it in the pile, and he did smooth out the pile. Now is chal the chiyuv of separating trumas or ma'aser on their seder bikurim truma gedola ma'aser rishon, and here the chacham gave ma'aser rishon before he separated truma. So the Levi has ma'aser rishon. The Levi already gave ma'aser min ha'ma'aser. But as we learned yesterday, here he's mechuyev midoraisa to also give the truma gedola part of it that the owner didn't give. And if he didn't do it, it's called biblically untied. Beautiful. Let's read it inside. Here is shenitel memeno ma'aser. He did take ma'aser min ha'ma'aser. He already gave the coin to 10% from his 10%. But he didn't take truma gedola. And now the temikid amalei rapapala by it, based on the pasuk that we had, that ma'aser min ha'ma'aser amarti loch. V'loy truma gedola u'ma'aser min ha'ma'aser. Maybe say this, at least the Levi, the guy, the owner violated that. But the recipient, maybe, it's not the end of the world. No. So the Gemara says, so Kamash on the Mishnah, like the Shanalei Abaya to Rav Papa, based on a pasuk also in Koirach, where it says, Mikoil Matnoi Seichem. Remember that? Mikol Matnoi Seichem Torimu. That the coin will always get his Truma Gedoyla. So therefore, since there is not yet the Truma Gedoyla part of it removed, it's considered Tevel, Ubemela it's Muksa, Ubemela Ein Mefanin, even L'Tzoydech Mitzvah. Then the Mishnah gave a case of as Hamaiser Sheni or Hegdish that was not redeemed. Again, if it's not redeemed, you can't eat it. We're speaking about Maiser Sheni, my friends, outside Yerushalayim. So Pshita, Maiser no, he redeemed it. The Nivdu, Elamai, Velanito Kil Hassan. It's good with Chassiding, the basic rules. Maiser Sheni can only be redeemed not on something of value. It has to be redeemed on coinage, on minted coins. Maiser Sheni shepadoi, but al gabe asimoin. This lashon is even, I think, in modern Hebrew, asimon, right? That what you put into the phone booth. Asimon means on a coin that's not yet minted. It's not your normal coinage, and you would think it has value. At least it was paid. No, it's not. It's not a pedia even on a doiraisa level. Since the Rahman Amar, that betzar to hakes b'yotcha, my friends. This is the pasuk. We read this every yontif, right? In the Re'ei, aser to aser. So the pasuk says that you have to betzarta, that you have to bind the money on your hand and take it to Yerushalayim. Now, normally in Lashon HaKodesh, if you have to take the money, which you have to, the Torah should have said, "V'lokachta, nem de geld medir." Why do we need to bind it? Bind it, and if you don't bind it, you put it in your pocket. Nah, so there's a remes here. Betzarta comes from the word surah. Surah means it has to have a image on it, which is the way you mint coins. You put an image of a king on it. Davar sheyesh b'tzura. And if it doesn't have a tzura, then it's not considered a pedia, and therefore it's still ma'aser sheni deloy niftu muktzah. Hegdish, what's another basic than in hegdish? That you redeemed it, but you did it wrong. Oh, and the Rachmana Amar, this is a pasuk in Michal Kaisai Dinos, and I cast a bit kamloy. You have to give money for that which you are redeeming to go back to your ownership. Here, you applied it, you would think, on real estate. What's better than karka? Maybe theoretically, not for pedia hegdish. Okay, then the Mishnah went on to say, Galoyas aluf. So aluf is some sort of legum, we explained. This legum is inedible to livestock if it's not cooked. Not only like the bean, the turmis, that at least it's Michaelism. The aluf is not even Michaelism, and therefore you can't clear it away, it's muktzah. But we had Rashbag that held, no, you can feed it to oivin, you can feed it to ravens. When we learned the Mishnah, my friends, we needed Danny spoke out good. We didn't clarify yet. What are we talking about? Do you have the raven? Do you not have the raven? And now we're going to have clarity in the machlekes between Ashbag and the Tanach. So now, to further elaborate, Tanan Banan, other items that the Mishnah does not mention. Metaltalon eseh chatzav. Chatzav is the grass. Rashi reminds us, which the Rashi is all the way on top of the Amid, that Yeshua used after he divided the land in Israel to demark my property, your property. Okay, today there's technology. How do they do that? So he planted chatzav. He told about people to plant chatzav as a grass that when it grows perfectly down. It doesn't spread to any of the sides. So it stays exactly where it's supposed to stay. That is Michael Behema, and that's the rule. Anything that's Michael Behema, even though it's a tircha for you to schlep it, it's not muktzah. So metaltal nesachat. I'm sorry, it's not a Michael to any animal. It's only a Michael to tzavaim. Tzavaim are deers. So be it. Michael tzavaim renders it not muktzah for all. The esach chardal, you could move chardal even if the chardal is unground. Now, my friends, in our Mishnah, if you remember, the Mishnah says that you cannot move chardal. There was no other shifa. Here the Baraisa, here we're quoting a Baraisa that says that you could move chardal. Michael liyonim, right? Because it's food for doves. The Rishonim point out that this Baraisa is not arguing with our Mishnah. Again, our Mishnah spoke clearly that if it's unground mustard, no one eats it. It's bitter. So listen to this. That's going to lead us into the whole Oirvim. What you mentioned, Danny. Are there ravens? Are there no ravens? The Baraisa was written in a place where there was commonly found yoinim. That must be. The Mishnah was written in a place where yoinim were not that commonly found. And that is the key here. Other details, so listen to this. You can even carry broken pieces of glass because it's food of ostriches. Now, let me already give you the heads up and this is connected to our Rashbag in the Mishnah that speaks about Oirvim, noble men and women, wealthy people, aristocrats, Malachim and the name Malachim, they had a Mishugas that they would raise ravens and also ostriches. So Rashbag, as we're going to be learning, who holds that Kol Yisrael b'nei Malachim has a halachic consequence, even if it's not benimtza in the neighborhood, not a raven or not an ostrich. Since if you would have been a noble or wealthy person, it would have been in your world to raise them, and therefore this would have been something that you would have needed for them. So every Jew can move shivrei zchuches because an ostrich eats it. Amalei Rab Nosson, Ela Ma'ato, chavilas zemoiros, bundles of vines, yitaltelu b'pnei shehu meichel lepilim. Now, most people will use it for fuel, but fuel is muktzah. But elephants eat it, so therefore he disagrees with them. Now, the Gemara is panenfering Rashbag. This is not the Braisa. Now it's the Gemara. Hashem Gamliel holds that na'amiyo shchichei. Now, as we'll see, shchichei not for you, shchichei for wealthy people, and pilin lo shchichi. Even a wealthy person, then he didn't raise elephants. Okay, all of this, by the way, all of this makes it clear that if you are living in a place in Thailand, and by you pilin ashchichi, taket won't be muktzah. Here it's speaking about lo shchichi. So Amar Meimar attempts to learn pshat in Rashbag that shchichi, lo shchichi, this is not the way we're going to come to the maskana. It means that you have it. That when does Rashbag say that you can carry shivrei zchuches because it's Michael na'amiyos, but who the isla, your own na'amiyos? So right away Rav Ashi tells Amem, no, that can't be pshat. Because Ela de Ka'amar later, when he challenged him, that and if Rashbag was speaking about the Islay, so for the conversation to be logical, Rav Nosson also was speaking about Pilim dat Shchiche. But actually, like we mentioned, if you have elephants, everyone will be moided that you can carry Chavilei Zemoiders. Islay Pilim, Takamailoi. It must be that they're speaking about people that they don't know these animals. Elo Roi. Rav Nosson is saying that it's Roi to be fed to elephants. And Hachinabi, when the Rashbag is the one that says that you can carry the shivrei zchuches, is not that you have this ostrich, but since it's Roi for ostriches, that justifies it for you. You meaning you don't have it, not to be muktzah, as we'll see. And that already, the Gemara doesn't even speak it out, which is amazing. It's self-understood. That's the reason for Rashbag in our Mishnah about the ravens, because based on the concept of Kol Yisrael B'nei Malachim, there are halachic consequences, and here we have one over one. It makes it non-muksa for the biggest pauper who doesn't even know what an ostrich looks like. Doesn't matter. It's something that you raise for sport. Amar Abaye, this rule you should know that Rav Shimon ben Gamliel and the Tanach Rav Shimon, Stam Rav Shimon is the Rashbi, and Rabbi Yishmael and Abba Kiva, Kulam Sfira Lahu Kol Yisrael B'nei Malachim, as it is expressed in these halachas or in other halachas. So says the Gemara, Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, Hadam Moron, and Hadam Moron, my friends, is the Braisa by Na'am Miyois, and now it's the Mishnah of the ravens. The Tanach Rav Shimon, we're going back just a few pages. The Tanan we learned here in Shabbos, Daf Kuf Yud Aleph, in the sugya of me not putting something for medicinal purposes, and the heter is that if it doesn't appear that I'm doing it l'refuah, why would it not appear? Because people use it stam, then I am allowed to do it on Shabbos. And one example was a oil that comes from a rose. Rose oil is expensive. And now, by the way, people don't. If you're wealthy, you would put it stam. If you're not wealthy, you would only do it l'refuah. So the Tanakh says, if you're taka wealthy, you can put it on Shabbos because it's not apparent that it's l'refuah. Other people can't. And on that we learned, B'nei Malachim only sachen agavam same shemen vered, because shekei darkon shel B'nei Malachim lasuch b'choil, even if they're not sick. But if you're not B'nei Malachim, then you can't do it l'refuah on Shabbos because it's a mechza l'refuah. However, the Rav Shimon says, no, since B'nei Malachim can put it on even on Shabbos, so all Yidden can put it on. Again, this is a Yid putting it on even l'refuah because it doesn't appear. How do you know he's doing it l'refuah when people put it on stam? Kol Yisrael B'nei Malachim. And Rabbi Yishmael and Abba Kiva, the Tanya, quoting the following Braisa, if someone has a claim against you for 1,000 mana sachgeld. And when it comes to owing money, just to make it clear, as we learn a lot in the Zikins part of Shas, that saying ainli is not normally going to get you out of the loop. Ainli, they have the right, if they press you, to make you sell everything you own, everything, including the furniture in your house. Very few items will be items that you can retain. One of them will be ksus, and also limited amount of ksus. So says the Braisa that if you owe money and you're wearing one garment, you can keep the limited amount of garments. You have a garment, but you have an itztala, you have a beketche that's worth 100 mana. It's a fortune. So even though you can't, the Beis Din has to allow you to keep your garments, but so what? Not that expensive garment. Even that one levush can be sold, says the Tanach, and they sell it and they buy with a little bit of its money, and the rest of the money goes to the creditor, goes to the lender. On that, or we also have the same Rabbi Akiva, no, that Kol Yisrael it's the and since you're poor, you can't even pay back your debts. No, b'nei malachim, you're the limited amount of garments you keep, no matter how beautiful and fancy and expensive those garments are, okay. Now we're going back to the Mishnah. That was at the end of the Mishnah. Chavile kash, right? We're speaking about bundles of articles that normally are used for firewood, right? But if the Mishnah says you designated them l'maychel behema, then also it's no longer muksam. So says the Gemara Tanach Rabbanan, chavile kash, chavile eitzim, bundles of stubble, bundles of wood. The chavile zeradim are very tender reeds. In his skinam l'maychel behema metalchin l'noisoi. If you designated them for animal food, then you can move them. The imlav, I mean stam, it's made for fuel, and therefore a metalchin l'noison. Then the Braisa continues, Rabban Shimon Gamliel Chavilim Hanitolim Biyad. Even if you set it aside for animal food, he's adding a chumrah now. Only if it's something that you can move it biyad echon mutar l'taltalon. But if it's something that you can only move b'shtei yadayim, wow, asur l'taltalon zakt Rashi. This is very important. Don't forget, we're learning the sugya of tircha yisera. Look inside Rashi, 9 lines from the top of the Amid asur l'taltalon. V'afilu is minam l'maychel behema the tircha. And that goes into what we learned yesterday, the kupa that we were speaking about, whether you can carry no matter how many kupas you want, just leave one. Whether like Rav Chizda, you're limited. The kupa is a name of a standard box that you can still carry with one hand. It's not the limit, but he's adding this nuance that if something is very heavy, b'chlal, you can't carry it. Look at that. Again, we're speaking about the tzorech mitzvah here. You can't do that. Next. Different details of chavile sia, bundles of sia. We'll see soon what that means. Ezoif is where the Torah speaks about ezoif, but we already know that when the Torah uses the word ezoif, it refers to one type of plant. When the Tanoim use the word ezoif, we had that not that long ago. They refer to another similar type of, but a different plant. And koiranis, a drita type of plant. So here says the Braisa like this: if you put them inside for fuel, they aim a topic behem Shabbos. But if la Michael behema, it's mashma, you put it aside from Michael behema, then the topic behem Shabbos. And we're already familiar that this appears like an inherent stira. What's tam? The Braisa begins, if you put it for firewood, aim a topic. Mashma stam, it's good. Then the Braisa says that if you set it aside la Michael behema, then it's not muksa, which means stam, it's bad. So which one is it? So Tosfos look on the side of Chnisam le'etzim emestapik ika lemeimar dahaki ka'amar hastama nase kimisha Chnisam le'maychel behem. Not there shouldn't be the stira. No, it's when is it muksa? Only if you designated this for firewood. It's not stubble that is cheap. This is a bit more expensive. Only if you designated it for fuel do you render it muksa. If stam is okay. Now, other dinim. Now we're going completely off to other dinim. The koitam biyad v'oichel. If you have to eat certain types of herbs, then you have to break it with your hand for consumption. What's pshat? Ubelvad shelo yiktoim bekeli. Don't break them into small pieces with a utensil. What are we talking about? So you can really keep your finger in Rashi. Rashi here is 12 lines from the top of the Amid. So Rashi, that this line is going to the concept of toichen. Toichen means that you're not allowed to grind. So there's certain herbs that you dice them little. Dicing up something very small is never allowed toichen. If you want to eat it, so break it with your hands and it won't be diced that little. So Taichas Rashi. Now we're going to go into another a different issue. Ubilvad umaylul v'oichol. If you have certain items that are in a klipa, so let's say peas in a pod, and you have to remove them. So you could now removing one item that is within the other. We had this many times. Shitas Rashi will always be, it's connected to threshing. Threshing is pashat. What do you do when you thresh? You're taking out the kernel from the klipa. So in order for you, now you're about to eat a meal. So the first thing you need to do is you have to do it shaloi kedarkoi. The moment you do it shaloi kedarkoi, you're not threshing. You're not threshing biblically. And that's going to be enough over here. Question is, what's pshat shaloi kedarkoi? So on the shaloi kedarkoi, there's a machlokes. The Tanach holds, umoilol v'oichol, you can remove it. Ubelvat shaloi yimlo b'keli harbe, meaning, guys, Rashi, you can even remove it with a keli, but limit the amount that you're doing it. Normally, you're already working, you would do a lot. Do only what you need right now. And that is the shinoi l'tanakama according to Rabbi Yehuda. The Chachamim say, the concept we agree to, you have to make a shinoi, but only doing a lesser amount, only not doing harbe is not enough of a shaloi kedarkei. Shaloi kedarkei means you may not use a keli at all. No. And even there, that you're making a bigger shino, you're using your hands, even that do just a little. What's the side that Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim both hold that you have to limit for only what you need right now. But again, the Rabbi Yehuda holds that limiting the amount is a shaloi kedarkei. And the Chachamim hold you have to use your hands and not a keli, which is don't do it kederech shuhu oisa b'choil. V'chein, all of the above laws. I know that if you designate them, the eitzim, that's it. It's muktzah. And even if not, be also aware of a toichen issue sometimes, and be aware of a threshing issue. So the same is be'amisa and befegam and b'sha'ar minei tavlin. Okay, now we have to teach a couple of these items, and when the Gemara teaches it, it normally doesn't help that much because we go from one language to another language that we don't understand. So amisa is ninya. Ninya is mint. Siya, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, siya is tzasrei, shasach geholfen. Ezoif is abarso. At least we had before that when the Torah says ezoif, it's one thing. When the Brisa says ezoif, it means, or the Tana says ezoif, it means abarso. Koiranis, right? What's koiranis? So the Gemara says, no, that even from the times of the Mishnah to the times of the Gemara, koiranis is koiranis. Koiranisa is koiranis. Koiranisa shema. Yeah, it's not true. Koiranis is not koiranis. And when they looked what this guy was selling, the ishtakach that he was selling chashay. Yeah, indeed. So koiranis means chashay. Good. Elosia is tzasrei, Ezav is abarso, and koiranisa is chashay. So the point of the commonality of all these items are, and that's b'chal, it's a good klal. Torah, right, deals with one issue at a time. So we're learning a whole sugya. When you have something, if it's designated l'maichel, if it's designated for wood, don't think that if it's designated l'maichel, you're good to go. Many of these items have other issues related. Some of them is they were speaking about different items that you have to take something from within something else. So you have the issue of threshing. Some of them, even if it's designated l'maichel, you have to chop them up. Then there's the issue of toichen. No, don't think that just because you're good as far as Perek Shmoina Asar is concerned, mefanin, there's no tirchi yeseda issue, there's no muktzah issue. Be mindful that everything you touch on Shabbos can be touching on many different avos and tools. Okay, right. Says the Gemara, Itmar, we learned. This is mamash very, very relevant. Basar maliach, we're speaking about raw meat but that's salted. I have it many times in my fridge, right? You have meat that's a raw. So we're learning over here that you're allowed to move it on Shabbos. Why are you allowed to move it on Shabbos? We'll see soon in the Gemara. However, basar tafel, if it's not only raw, tafel normally means it's not even salted. Now here's the nekuda. Here's a beautiful Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. Meat that's raw and unsalted is good for animals. People who would own chayas gave them to the chayas, to beasts. They would eat it. But most people don't give such good food to their animals. They want it for themselves. For them, it's not royal to eat. 1 second. Uncooked meat is not royal to eat. Not true. We'll see in a moment. You can eat raw meat if it's salted. If it's not salted and raw, so then like this, you can make it into edible for people. You can serve it as it is for animals. What do people do? So that will be in other words, how do we view this right now? Rabbi Shimon holds it's not muksa. Even though you don't plan to eat it, since it's roi to be given to animals as is, that in itself makes it not muksa. If you hold like Rabbi Shimon, who has a more chamurdika application, the Islay muksa, it's not muchen for you. It's not muchen for you because you can't eat it the way it is. Yeah, Danny. I can't hear you.
You said Rabbi Shimon, you mean Rabbi Yehuda.
I'm sorry, I meant Rabbi Yehuda. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's muktzah. According to Rabbi Shimon, it's not. And these Amiroim, Rav Huna and Rav Chizda, this is Rav Huna holds like Rav Shimon. You have what's going on over here. You're not going to eat it now. You can't eat it the way you have to prepare. You cannot prepare it. But since it's royal Michael of an animal, so even for you, it's not muktzah. Rav Chizda holds like Rabbi Yehuda. No. It's not. You did not designate this to be eaten. It's not only raw. It's not unsalted. It's the fact that you could give it to animals, but you're not going to give it to animals. So therefore, he holds asur l'taltaloi b'Shabbos.
Rabbi, the rules of kavush don't apply.
Nothing to do with kavush here. It won't help. No,
if it's edible and salted, it's a shtickle kavush. No.
We're speaking about that it's unsalted, and you may not salt it. You may not salt it on Shabbos. You're not allowed to salt the meat on Shabbos. That's the point. Now,
what's the isser of the salting, Rabbi?
Huh?
What's the isser of salting meat on Shabbos?
I think you're preparing it. I think it's too much preparation.
But you're allowed to salt a salad or something like that. Why?
It was edible before.
Maybe because you're marinating it for later.
We had the sugi before. We had the sugi before by salting. That was the whole point. We had this before. A lot of salting. We had this in the Gemara. Remember, a lot of salt, not a little bit of salt. Yeah, that was the whole thing about that juice that they had a lot of salt, a little salt, and that was taka the shiur. That how much salt, not salt that's needed to salt meat. Okay. How can that be? Like we explained, Rav Huna is following Shittas Rav Shimon, but Rav Huna is a Talmud of Rab, and therefore for sure he would have passed like Rab. And we know that Rab in this machlokes of muktzah paskins like Rab Yehuda, the Islay muktzah. And here's the big answer. This is beautiful. Says the Gemara, the muktzah la achila. You're right. However, b'muktzah l'taltel. Look at this breaking of the hair, splitting of the hair. He holds like Rab Shimon. And the machlokes that they were talking about here is talking not about eating. Rav Huna says the words muter l'talteloi. Muter l'talteloi. Now, normally we put everything together. Muktzah means you can't eat and drink, and you can't move. Like we mentioned, you can sit on it, you can have hana'ah from it. That's important. No, we're saying it depends that we separate eating and drinking versus moving, and Rav can pick and choose whether he paskins like one or the other accordingly. Says the Gemara, Rav Chizda says, "Asal l'taltaloi." V'ha Rabbi Yitzchak bar Ami ikla lebei Rav Chizda. He went to the house of Rav Chizda, and v'chazo dahu bar Avza, that there was a certain duck, and it's a duck that was already slaughtered, but not it was salted, not it was cooked. Mamish raw. Some of that slaughtered duck was sitting out in the sun, and the household members of Rav Chizda were moving it, and Rav Chizda was explaining why. Because chesren kis kochazin and hacha, and therefore we don't want it to remain in the sun. Bottom line is, Rav Chizda allowed for it to be moved. Hold on. If he would hold like Rabbi Yehuda, Muksa cannot be moved. And now you're speaking about moving it to save it. Remember we learned above, like even by a kelish malachta le'iser, you can debate gufay or gufay and mekoymai, but kula alma you can't move it for the tzedach gufay. So the Gemara says no. Shani baravzo bechazilum. So that's different. When it comes to duck, you can eat it raw, and even not only not cooked, not even salted. Guys, we learned this in Chulin, just to repeat it clearly, that the whole issue of not eating dam is only if the dam moved within the animal. So if you take a piece of meat and you cook it before salting it, so since the blood left its natural location, now it's called dam. If a piece of meat is bachlal not cooked, we learned about l'refuah, it's healthy to eat meat from the animal before the animal died, if you remember that. And a yid can eat the meat after shechita. And you know what they would do? They would shecht an animal, and they would cut out a piece of meat from the neck, from that incision area, and they would eat it quickly. That's good. About salting. So we learned that the blood that's on top of it has to be rinsed off. But the blood that's within it, since you didn't cook it, it's called basar. Okay? Same thing over here. So this raw duck, since it's a softer meat, since it's edible, even according to Rab Chizda, even according to the Tana Rebbe Yehuda, it's not muksa. And now Tana Rabbana. Now there's different gearses. We're going to learn this the way the Marshal amends it, the way Tosfos will see. Maybe we'll learn a shtickle inside. Tana Rabbana, Dag Maliyah. What about raw salted fish? Multiple taltalei b'Shabbos, because you can eat it as is. However, Dag Tafel, unsalted fish, also taltalei. Again, we are following this Braisa. Obviously, is following Rebbe Yehuda. That's how we'll learn Pshat. So since it's not edible, again, even though maybe you would feed it to your animals, you wouldn't do that. Basar, when it comes to meat, says the Braisa, bein tafel, bein moliach, mutel taltaloi. Now hold on. We just said that we are following the Shita of Rebbe Yehuda. So first of all, take out the parentheses as the Marshal takes it out. Look inside the second to last Tosfos that speaks about the obvious question. Tosfos Tema, Midrash the basal tafel. The Braisa says basal tafel is okay. Is the Harai that he holds like Rab Shimon? So what about dog tafel? So first of all, Tosfos begins that it's Taka Rab Shimon. That's the gears of the parentheses. Let's look to the second answer in Tosfos. Inami, that this Braisa is Rab Yehuda. Asya, take out the parentheses. The dog tafel. Afal pisharoi laklavim, also letaltaloi. That's the whole shita of Rebbe Yehuda in Muksa, because the kol midah the chazile inish, even though it's good for animals, but basar tafel. Why can you carry Rebbe Yehuda, guys? Here's the chiddush. Now Tosfos doesn't speak it out, but what Tosfos is adding that we learned above in the Amid Kol Yisrael B'nei Malachim. According to Rabbi Yehuda, if you're wealthy and you are raising chayas, these are wealthy people, you would serve the meat to a chaya. So this Braisa is putting together Taka Rabbi Yehuda, but if this Braisa subscribes to the Kol Yisrael B'nei Malachim, and therefore even if you hold like Rabbi Yehuda, basar is not going to be a muksa. Let Rabbi Yehuda, because you as a B'nei Melech, you will feed your raw meat for your animals. What about fish? They says fish, they don't fit. The animals, chayas, don't eat raw fish. Chayas eat raw, unsalted meat. Beautiful.
Rabbi,
right. Yes.
The whole raw fish thing, it seems that maybe an animal would eat it, but nobody would feed their raw fish to an animal. So if that's the case, would Reb Shimon also say it's muksa?
First of all, if that's the case, Danny, good. Look inside Tosfos. Tosfos has a question about that. The first yeshleiman is dog is not roy leklavin. But yes, Danny, if something is not even roy for animals, then of course Rab Shimon would hold it's muksa. If you can't eat it and they can't eat it, it's muksa.
But does roy mean that it's not fit or that nobody would do it?
No, roy means not fit. If it's fit, even no one will do it. Rab Shimon is lenient. That's the machlokes of Rabbi Yehuda and Rab Shimon. If it's fit and no one will do it, Rab Shimon is mekel, Rabbi Yehuda is machmer. And on that we're learning a braisa that Rabbi Yehuda, again, if you follow also Kol Yisrael B'nei Malachim, so even though you wouldn't do it, But a Bnei Melech who's raising his chayas, he would do it. So then for every year, that's not muksa. Okay, let's go back. Tanach Rabban. Metaltalin as hoatzamais. You can carry bones. Parvas mepneishu Michael leklavim. Okay, finally, Nafkuf Chavches on the base. Now here you get stuck. Now we have all these gemaras with Taichin. Here, basar tefuach does not mean what it always means. Here, basar tefiach means spoiled meat. Just to know that mepneishu Michael lechai, even spoiled meat can be carried because it's Michael lechai. Now I want to add something. Even Rabbi Yehuda, even if you don't say Kol Yisrael b'nei Malachim, once the meat is spoiled, you're not going to eat it. Then everyone is going to try to make use of it, and it's royal lechaya, so therefore it's not muksa. Mayin migulin is something that you should not even give to animals because there's a possibility that there's venom there. So indeed, so you would think it's muksa. So no, not muksa because there's one type of animal, a chaya, that can eat poison, the cat. So it's not muksa. Oh, and on that says I'm not arguing with the fact that it's roy to give to a cat, but the fact that we are not allowed to keep in our possession waters that were left uncovered. Even though you might give it to a cat and the cat won't die, but everyone else will be damaged by it. So anything that you're not allowed to keep, anything that you can't keep in your possession automatically, and because of sakana, not because of kashrus, because for kashrus, maybe you can benefit in another way. You can give it to your animal. If you can't keep it for sakana, that means that you can't keep it at all. So then it becomes automatically muksa. Just to add, as you saw that Maya made a note over here, going back to the fish, now that people decided that maybe certain raw fish are edible as sushi, that taka changes the halacha. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. You know, you learn the sugya. Depends if you have elephants. Okay, if you have elephants, then the chavela yisuradim taka is not muksa. If there's use for it. Okay, let's move on. It's getting late, but these are beautiful sugya. Says the Mishnah. You can turn a basket over in front of efreichim, in front of small chiclets, and we learned DAF Mem Gimel, the Amoyra Rabbi Yitzchak, that says that you may not move a keli for muksa. Animals are muksa. Remember, the Gemara asked there in DAF Mem Gimel against Rabbi Yitzchak from our Mishnah, because the Mishnah is telling you that the keli is not muksa. So what's the issue? The issue is, don't think that you can't move a keli for muksa. You could be koifin as a salaf nefren. He teaches over there. Rabbi Yitzchak, his answer is that if you already pick up the sal, it's already in your hand, then you can put it down in front of the afreichim. Now, the nature of a chick is that they don't really fly, right? We know from kaparas, but they jump. They're jumpers. They use their wings to jump. So if they're stuck somewhere and they have a step, it helps them get in and helps them get out. Okay. If a tanagoyla escape, then you are allowed to push her or for her to enter her coop. What's the chiddush over here? First of all, my friends, the isur of moving muksa isn't only moving all of it, it's even only moving some of it. It's also not okay. So pushing a tarnagoyl, you would argue, is a problem. Even if you're not mamash lifting it and pushing it, we're not speaking about carrying, we're speaking about muksa, but it's a muksa issue. Chachamim were lenient, and they were matir for me to move muktzah, the minimum needed, because of tzar balachayim. And not only this is mutter if the tarnagoylis is already in distress, but for me to prevent my tarnagoylis to get hurt. See, chickens, they dreizach, but they get hurt easily. So if I'm gonna foresee, if my tarnagoylis won't make it back into the hen, then I got a problem. It's gonna get hurt. It's gonna be tzar. So because of tzar balachayim, again, I'm not picking it up. I'm only moving some of it, but I'm allowed to do that. That's the chiddush over here. And likewise, similarly, midadadin agolim usiyachim, you can help young calves, or siyachim are young donkeys. You are allowed to help them walk. Now there are different levels of moving. There's picking something up. There's being medadate it. Being medadet means that you're hopping onto some of it and you're helping it, like, one leg, you're hopping onto to one part of it. And that's a greater help than pushing. Pushing is the least help. The Gemara is going to want to know, why can't you be medadeit a tarnagolos? The Gemara is going to explain why. But by here, you are even allowed to be medadeit. Okay, and again, it's muktzah to either if it's in distress or if you foresee that if you're not going to move it back where it belongs, it will be in distress. Now, what about isha medada espina? So here we're going to learn pshat that the issue of being medadeit a child, a human being, is not muktzah. So here we're going into another issue, and that is that the Reisha, according to most of the Rishonim, is speaking about your Tarnagoylis, your Agolim and Siyachim. They are not in Rishus Harabim. The issue is only muktzah. But if they would be in Rishus Harabim, and there's a chash that while you're moving them along, you might end up carrying them, then you can't do it. By a human being, you are allowed to help a child, even in Rishus Harabim, walk. You're not picking them up. Medadet means like by a child, what you're doing is that they always have one of their legs on the ground. So you're like lifting up one leg, but they have one leg on the ground. Even in Rishus Harabim, you are allowed to do it. The reason why we're more lenient by a person that we are allowed to be medadet with Rishus Harabim is because even if you'll end up picking up the baby, if you remember on a Dairaisa level, our Mishnah subscribes to the Shita that Chai Noisas Atzmai, you're not even biblically doing Haitzah. We are going to follow the Shita that holds that we don't say Chai Noisas Atzmai Babal Chaim. So therefore, Babal Chaim, there is a chashash, you might end up carrying it if it's in the Rishus Harabim. More in the Gemara. Okay. Amen. Rabbi Yehuda. Amosai, how can you be medaded the child in the Rishus Harabim? Only this man shul neitel achas u'maniach achas. He's explaining. He's not arguing. Medaded doesn't mean bona fide carrying. Even though we say chayim noisas atzmai, it's only on a doiraisa level. On a derabanan level, we don't say that. We're only saying that you're allowed to be medaded because even if you'll end up doing it, you're only violating a isur derabanan. But be medaded. Now, but if the child is picking none of his feet up, then it's asur to move him in a Rishus Harabim, farvas, because dragging is mamish carrying. It's not about lifting it up. You had this all in a big part of the Masechta. Dragging something a certain domain is considered you're making a akira when you begin dragging, and then you make a hanacha when you end the dragging, and that's an act of carrying and take. 1 second, doing that is not awesome midoiraisa, but it's awesome midrabanan. Okay. Right.
Rabbi, just quick question. We learned a few DAF ago about an animal that was in a pit, and we're not allowed to take the animal out. Was that because of the Rishus Harabim?
No, that's because of muktzah, and we're going to have this right now. We're going to have this right now, because an animal, even though we learned it's important that an animal is not, I can't be machamed. My animal can carry things for me, but my animal can walk from my chatzit into the Rishus Harabim like I could. You understand? Anyways, helping an animal up is not an issur of me carrying; it's an issur of me moving muktzah. Now, if I'm mamish doing it, 1 second, I take that. If I'm
it was
doing
as benoi.
I know, but what's the issue? I'm saying, Tzvika, if I'm picking up the animal myself, yeah, if it's from I'm violating Haitzah also. Tzvika, if I'm picking up the animal with both of my hands, of course, if the pit that he's in is, let's say, a Rishus HaYachid, and I'm in Rishus HaRabim, there's also an issue of Haitzah, correct? But there's an issue also of Muktzah. There's both issues over there. And Yom Tov, you can do it because you can break it.
Right, but we don't say Tzar Balei there.
We don't say Tzar Balachayim there. Well, hold on. The Gemara is going to ask us mamash over here. We only say Tzar Balachayim is doicha and isur derabbanan. Tzar Balachayim will not be doicha and isur derais. We'll see all this in our study. Says the Gemara, Omer Rabbi Yehuda Tzvika mamashim behema shenafel amas hamayim, and you want to help the animal get out of this stream of water. So maybe Karamukasasa is now clearly Tzvika. We're not speaking about Hoitzoi, clear. We're speaking about it's an Amas Hamayim that goes through your property. The Amas Hamayim is not 10 Tvachim deep. It's not a carrying issue. It's a tiltul issue. And if I'm going to put pillows and blankets in water to make a step helping the animal get out, I am ruining my pillows and blankets. So we'll learn Pshat in the Gemara because it's going to be soggy, filled with water. And that will also go into another problem of being mevatel, a keli, from its use. So says Rav that I am allowed to bring Him also, me clearly be of daim can't do it, but I can do something that is also problematic, and this yes is for tzar b'lachaim. Fragting about an Rab, you're an amoida meisvei. Says in a brayso, behema shenach lamas hamayim. Clearly, oisim like parnasa b'mekayma. There's no carrying issue. Take food, give it food. Ishvil shalei tamus. And l'chuura infers the Gemara, parnasa in. I'm allowed a supplier with food, but meaning that I can't even forget about taking it out the yadayim. I can't even put karamuk sasais loy. Answers the Gemara, no loy kasha. The braysa is the efshir b'parnasa and enochanami. Only do that. Putting karamuk sasais is already a problem. Ha Rab is the efshir b'parnasa. Efshir b'parnasa in the eloy. Maybe karam ukusasis umaniach tachtel. Now the Gemara doesn't continue by saying what's the issue. The Gemara already knows the issue, and the Gemara is asking a kasha now. Putting pillows into a stream of water. What does that mean? So let's go with Tanan. That since it's going to get filled with water, you will no longer be able to use it, at least right now, and that's a rabbinic violation. On Shabbos, you cannot destroy the usage of a keli. Indeed, the Gemara says, I know that. However, Rav holds that being mevatel a keli mehechana is only an isur d'Rabbanan. Tzar balachayim is an isur d'oiraisa, and like Rashi reminds us, we have the sugya in Elam Metzias. There's taka machloikis, but there the sugya brings the pasuk in Mishpatim where it says ozoiv tazoiv imay. Right, when the animal has a big, the Torah says help the animal. That's the source according to one shita. Tzabal chayim d'oraisa. So the asa d'oraisa v'dachi d'Rabbanan. V'dachi d'Rabbanan. Let me just add something over here. That some of the Rishonim are of the opinion, if that's the case, that if you put the karamuk esasais and the animals don't go out, then you can move it out by yadayim. Why? Because moving and picking up an animal, we're not speaking about carrying it. We're speaking about just the muksa issue. Is a derabanan. So asa d'oraisa v'dachi d'Rabbanan. So why didn't you just take it out? Because even when it comes to violating Yisurim, as well, God willing, you have to get to the end of the summit. Kol echad the efshar mishanim. You try to minimize the breaking of Isur Shabbos, and being mevatel a keli mehechanoi is less problematic than muksa. Okay, let's go right. Back to the Mishnah. Mishnah says, right? So they're doichin. Doichin, I say achetikanis. So we said, like we explained, that there's different levels. There is doichin, and then there's medaded. Medaded, you are moving it more. So why did the Mishnah not allow you to be medaded the tarnagoylos? Again, we're speaking about either the animal is in sar, the chiddush is, even if it's not in sar, but you as the owner know if the tarnagoylos is going to drezech where it is, it's going to get into trouble. You are preventing sar, that's also good. So medaded in, doichin in, medaded in loy. Why is that? It says, indeed, clearly, where it's clear that medaded in behema v'chayva oiv v'chatzer, right? Avoloy is a tarnagoylos. Question is why? Tarnagoylos, my tamaloy, yom Rabbi mishum the makpiya nafsho, because a tarnagoylos has a tendency that the moment you grab onto some of it, it's going to lift up its feet, and then you're going to be carrying it. Again, we're going, even though there are the Rishonim that hold that if there's no other way, since the sar b'lachaim, you can even carry it. Bonafide, we're trying to minimize. We're trying for you only to move some of it. So when it comes to the other animals, if you're medaded it, you're moving it, but some of it. When it comes to our tarnagoylos, it's a likelihood that it's going to pick up its legs and you're going to be carrying it. So that's why don't begin with being medaded. Says that's the way we learned the Mishnah. In other words, our Mishnah by the animals was only about muksa, but never in the Reshus Harabim. Why? Because in the Reshus Harabim, if you will end up picking it up, which as we are learning, if there's no other option for Tzar L'chaim, you can pick it up there, you're violating it. But by the Isha, that's the whole point. That Medat is not Reshus Harabim, even in the Reshus Harabim. like we explained. Why? Why? Because we're not saying that you should right away pick up the baby. Even though Chayin Loisas Atzmai is only on a Deraisa level, but Midrabanan, we don't want you to do it. Okay, good. But you're not picking it up. So you are afraid that you might pick it up. Even if you pick it up, you only violate the Isa Derabanan. So it's like you're making a Gzeda to a Gzeda. You can even done it even in a Rishus Rabbi. The Tanya Idach, Ein Oikrim Behema L'Chayim Oikrim Chatzir. Oikrim means to fully pick it up. Abel Toichem Behem, Sheyikonzu, but you can push them. But now, as we have been learning, that there is a different steps. There's picking it up, and then you have being medadi, and then you have pushing it. So the Braisa went Menakotza Elakotza, and each one is inferring a stira to the other inference. What does that imply? You can't lift it up, which means that you can be medadi. And then you said only doichen. Doichen means doichen in medadi boy. So I'm gonna buy based on what we learned that Seifas over Tanagoylas for Baya Tanagoylas Takin, you can't even be medadi. That's why the Braisa you can be doichen. Like all the other animals, not only can you push doichen, but even you can be medadi. Now that we spoke about this unique character trait of a Tanagoylas that lifts its feet up, it uses its feet more than others. If you're shechting a rooster, so you have to either if it's standing, press it down, strong and shechted. Inami, or the other option is meidal, pick it up completely off the ground. Because if you're going to leave it standing regularly on the ground, it might hop onto the ground, and it's going to try to escape while you're shechting it by using its legs. And while that happens, you might dislodge the pipes. And as we learned in Chulin, the 5 basic rules of Shechita Shechiyah, Drasa, Chalada, Hagrama, Ikur. Ikur means that you can't rip the pipes out of their location, and that might happen. Again, this unique character trait of a hen, and here it's of a rooster. Okay, so a hen picks up its legs, and a rooster uses its legs to run away. Let's begin at least. Let's see how far we can get. Beginning with the next Mishnah. Even on Yontiv, you cannot deliver an animal. Now, delivering an animal means doing it actively. We'll see in the Gemara what does active helping mean or active birthing mean. May not be done. Why may it not be done? The issue here is, we already spoke, you can't say it's an issue of mutza, because we said there's a tsar b'lechaim aspect. We're speaking here about tircha yisera. Right. Avol misadin. Well,
Rabbi.
Yes.
Can you just adjust the mic a little bit? Because none of us can hear you clearly.
How about now? So let's go, and then we'll repeat it in a moment. That Amy Yaldin, again, you can't actively deliver because of tircha yisera, Abul Misadin, but you may assist the delivery. It's less tircha. We already said that for Tsar B'Lachayim, we minimize, we don't care, it trumps the muksa aspect, and you're good. When it comes to giving birth to a human being, what's by Yom Tov, even Misadin is only on Yom Tov. But on Shabbos, you can't even be Misadin. Wow, because of the tircha. By a woman, you can be miyalid actively even on Shabbos. And not only that, you can have a midwife go from one place to the other, even though going is in violation of Tchum Shabbos. And that's what an abundant, let's go with that. And even more, Shabbos, you can break Shabbos for her. The Gemara is going to ask, what is this adding? We already said that you can be miyaled, but again, miyaled is tircha. Tircha is midrabanan. Now you can break the rabbanans, you can break the isis. For example, the koishman es hatibur, you can tie the umbilical cord, tying, right, a knot. Doesn't matter if you don't tie the knot, then the baby is in danger. Rabbi Yossi says no. You can even be chaytech. You can even cut it. because if you don't cut it, Rashi says you might accidentally schlep it, and it's going to make some of the, the stomach of the baby come out. And the whole tzarchei milah can be done on Shabbos, and a lot more we'll have about tzarchei milah, God willing, in next Perek. So let us start. Let's chaparayis. I know it's late. First of all, what does it mean to help? What does it mean to act? That miyaldin means picking, putting your hand in the womb and schlepping the baby out. That is what you can't do. Misadin is you're not taking the baby out, but the moment the baby comes out, right after it comes out, you are allowed to hold on to it so it shouldn't fall to the ground. Now again, here you're not doing that much work. What are you doing? You're doing muksa. Muksa, we said it's fine for tzar balachayim. Rav Nachman Amar, more than that, you can even manipulate the external part of the mother to help the baby be pushed out. What you can't do is you can't stick your hands in and schlep the baby out. Says the Gemara Tanya Kavase of Rav Yehuda that what case of Misadin, and now let's go further. The neifeach loy b'chaytmai. If you have to, you can blow in the nostrils. Sometimes the passageway gets clogged up. And the noisin loy dad l'tochpiv k'dei sheyinak. You can place the mother's body part in the mouth so it should begin to nurse. Again, you're touching muksa, no problem. Amar Rav Shimon Gamliel merachmim vayinu al behema treida b'yamtiv. Again, not on Shabbos, but on Yamtiv. If the mother is abandoning his child, as we'll speak out in a moment, you can do actions to the mother or to the baby that will remind the mother that this is your child and she won't abandon the child. Heicha of it, what action do you do? Amar Abaya, maybe bull shel melach. This is a very good thing that you can bring a fist full of salt and you put it inside the mother's these animals that gave birth. You have to remind them that they just gave birth, to remember that. What happens when you add to the pain of their womb, they remember, I just gave birth. Or another solution was, interesting, that you can throw some of the meishilia on top of the baby, so the mother will smell its own body liquid, and it's going to remember that the animal is connected to her. Now, again, by the way, this may not be done on Shabbos, but this may be done on Yom Tov. The question is, why did Abaye, did the Braisa speak about Hoira? So the Gemara emphasizes, why not? My Tama, because Tameya, number one, the lo meracha valdo. A non-kosher animal species almost never will abandon its young. And if it will, then no matter what you do, MERCAVA, it's not going to remember to take it back. A tahor animal, more than a tummy animal, it can sometimes abandon its young. So therefore, you can do the activities to bring it back. Now, guys, this is such an important Musar Haskell over here. Right? The Rebbe was masakin it, but before our doyer was Zajac to this whole approach, wasn't it common that when it comes to people, that if a family was, so to say, not that connected, they never abandoned their kids? That's because they had, less standards. That's the challenge. You want to have standards, but then what do you do with someone who breaks the standards? So the derech used to be gevura, right? Until now, sadly, sometimes you have in Fruma families that if God forbid a child goes off the derech, how do they approach it? They can abandon them, and you have to get them back. If I can, it's how ironic. A behemoth hardly ever abandons their kids. The tahira, dafka, because it's tahira, sometimes could abandon its children, but we have to make an effort to make sure that even the behemoth tahira never abandons its young. God willing, to be continued. All right, we got down at least a bissel.
Rabbi, I'm just a little stuck on this whole Tzar Bali Chaim thing because it seems like to contradict itself throughout the sugyas over here.
Why is that? How is that? It's perfect.
Even by Misadin, we sing by you could see an animal giving birth, and over there we don't even allow to help them on Shabbos. Yet there's Tzar Bali Chaim on Tarnagolis pushing it out of the coop or inside the, meaning.
Okay. So fine. So I don't know if I spoke it out like this. That's why Rashi begins this whole sugya. He writes clearly the issue of miyaldin is tircha yisera. Now I know that tircha yisera is not a do'iraisa, but obviously tircha yisera here is not like muksa. Tzar balachayim was doicha muksa. That's why we learned in the previous suga also, Tzvika, that you can't be medadet a behema chai ba'ofen reshus harabim, because there you might carry it. I carry it. No, carrying. No, I know that carrying is a deraisa.
Yeah, but carrying is deraisa, right? Okay.
That's for sure. But here we're learning that tircha yisera was not allowed. Clear.
Thank you.
And what's the fine line with tzar ba'alei chaim? Is it your animal, someone else's animal? How does that? You're working on your Tanagoyla, someone else's Tanach. How does that work?
I don't think I'm a chuyev. It doesn't make sense to me that I can do something that I otherwise cannot do because I'm foreseeing another animal might getting hurt. It doesn't make sense to me. This time it's my animal. I'm assuming it's my animal. That's why the case.
That only applies to humans. Is that what we learned today?
So we learned that before, but according to Rashi, our Tana holds it only applies to humans and not to animals. That was a gewaldige chap. So a human, even in a reshus harabim, what might the worst case scenario, you'll violate the rabbanan. By an animal, if you're going to pick up the animal, you're going to violate the doiraisa, so they did not allow you.
Okay.
Yeah, so the tzar b'lachayim is a limited head. It's not
Shkoyach, Rabbi.
Right, shkoyach.
Kaya.